Greetings everyone, this is Lodrik. This is our game War in the Pacific Ultimate Edition in our match Lodrik against Dojo. And today we will check on turn number 41, means February 25th, February 26th, February 1942. So remember that the second carrier fleet is now on the way back to Singapore to refit, rearm, and bring up the air wings to max numbers. Here we already took a Jolo base because there's often a float plane base from the Americans, so if you take this base it's often helpful with give the allied player less recon information. We can see many submarines, and this is now our sub try to attack the enemy destroyer far in the east, near to the west coast of California. But submarine failed and destroyer failed to find submarine, so at the end nothing happens. You can see here, really at the edge. Here you can see that this is AOs. They still refuel our task forces, but I think last turn already 2 of our task forces, today the other one. And this is again a sub attack, or attempted sub attack from Dojo's submarine fleet, and but our escort destroyers was in station and intercept the submarine, and now we have 3 hits. I mean, nothing crazy, but at least 3 hits. I think slowly Dojo can bring more and more submarines in position. And now it's more or less a race against the time. If the Japanese can take more or less all the big bases in Java and Sumatra to simply deny a base nearby, so that the submarines have a long march on to the target's area, that means that the time on station will be shortened. So this is normally my goal, that I take the bases Sumatra, Palembang and Batavia. This I think are the last 3 big bases for Dojo he can use here in this area. This is our, I don't know how many times we already tried to bombard Ambon, but this is again to reduce Dojo's base force attack value, lower the morale, increase the fatigue. And you can see, normally I don't think that Ambon is a really important base later on. I only want to kick out Dojo, make sure that there is nothing from Dojo left, but I will not use that base active. And I think last time already our battleships arrived here and tried to find something, but there was no fleet outside, so maybe there's a fleet inside hiding in the port. So I make this short bombardment and try to maybe find something here in the base, or if not, maybe I can destroy some airplanes or some base units. And of course battleships have often much better firepower and ability to do this kind of job compared to, I mean, heavy cruisers are okay, but battleships have often much more power. Here we can see that we I mean, we destroy some non-combat stuff, maybe like support units in the garden. Nothing really crazy. So not really a big successful bombardment, but maybe here is nothing. If here is nothing, we can also not destroy anything. And it's time to return to Singapore. We burn too much fuel. And now, after bombardment, often low on shells. So, next bombardment. I mean, of course, shell bombardment or any kind of consumption of ammunition will at the end supplies. If you will use all your battleships every day to make sure bombardment, then you burn through a lot of supplies. But at the end, it normally helps. In this case, we can see this was a successful bombardment, I would say. And you can see this is pre-invasion, so this is additional units try to land in Osthaven. Now we're making the Amphibious Assault. So we lost 2 units, but only support units and a little 3 squads. So the typical losses on this kind of invasion stuff. So the night is over. No big fleet battle, but some sub-activity, some bombardment. So, not more many mines to sweep. So, okay, we see the submarines. But so far it's I don't really have units for anti-submarine stuff. I more or less focus first to create a strong torpedo bomber navy force and an army land bow. The army bombers are focused on airfield and land attack. And the navy units are normally focused on torpedo attack and normal navy strike bomb attack. And my float planes are normally all focused for navy search. Because for me it is priority number 1 to see task forces. Navy search is normally mainly for let you know there are task forces. And if you have sub-hunter groups, they will really attack a unit. But with this only search, it is possible, but it's firstly this Jack only carries 60 kilogram bombs, don't expect too much, and also hard to hit anything. And here you can see, I don't know if I explain this, you can see that this is a second line always, and the second line is normally always a strike attack, so bomber, torpedo bomber, dive bomber, whatever. And in the first line, you always have the escort stuff. And the zeros are now together with the Val bombers and the Kate bombers because I use them all together for land attack. Because also zeros can transport some bombs. You can see this now here. Because I don't expect here any enemy fighters more because we already destroyed the airfield. And my long range patrol boats will normally check if the enemy task forces. So no, Dojo cannot bring any long range cap from Australia. This is too far for him. So I can more or less make 99% sure that there is no enemy fighter. So, and here you can see that the zeros are also bombing from 4,000 feet. But they can only carry 2 60 kilogram bombs. Later, I think the zeros and other machines, they can carry maybe 100 kilogram bombs or 250 kilogram bombs, something like this. So this bomb load is of course not really a big help, but I can use the zeros. The zeros get still experience for this. They also learn to make a land strike or land attack. So because most of the I don't know what I can else do with the pilots. They only can wait and do nothing because they have already max skills for air battle. So I more or less use them in this second class role of support strike. I would never normally use zeros to attack any ships because with a 60 kilogram bomb you can forget it. But in this case of a land attack I can say more or less I better use everything what I have to have the maximum impact. Maybe not the maximum impact on kill enemies, but maybe still to lower the readiness or increase fatigue, something like this. I mean, many of these Chinese bombers also transport only very small bombs. Here you can see 30 kilogram bombs, even smaller, but they give pressure to the enemy units. Okay, I think already last time Dojo tried to use this B-26 and so far they was not very impressive. I only don't know if these are now American B-26 or they are Dutch, because I cannot see any information. I only know they are B-26 because I think there was a question about this Dutch Air Force, and I think it's possible to upgrade most of the Dutch fighters to P-39s or P-40s, and I think also it's possible to upgrade the Dutch bomber forces to B-25 or B-26 like this. But I only saw it in the tracker that it is possible, but I don't know how many units and how easy it is to switch this. This you can maybe ask Dojo. And here's B-17s, because Dojo more or less attack Balikpapan too often, and at the end, the first strike I was more or less a little surprised. The second time I was thinking, yeah, okay, do it, it have no impact. But after he did it, I think 3 times, then I would change my mind and say, okay, if you come always with B-17s unescorted, then I can bring some zeros here temporary and try to intercept a little. Because these are still 4-engine bombers, so and I really don't know more sure, but before I thought that this will also give 4 points if you can kill this kind of airplane. But it doesn't matter on the points or not. To kill some unescorted P-17s now will help me later on to have less pressure. Because this kind of airplanes simply have so much range, and they have, if you use them in normal range, 8 bombs, there's simply a high possibility that they damage something or kill something. Maybe not like in this case, because Dojo I think use them always in very high altitude, 25,000 or like this. Oh no, now he drops down to 8,000. I thought maybe he changed. Before it was 25,000, but now he come to 8,000. So this is the standard. This is okay. This was also the reason why our flag can hit this bomber. Before he flies so high that no Japanese flag can normally fight with these bombers. But now if he come down to 8,000, then our heavy flag can attack it. So we damaged all of the B-17s, but we was not able to really stop them. Scouting. Ooh, bad weather. So pity. Okay. This is so far it was not really super great successful with this air battle in Rangoon, and I mean, up to the moment the Hurricane 2B, before the Hurricane 2B there was only the Flying Tiger. I think it was a successful operation, and we had a good kill ratio. After the Hurricane 2A and 2B arrived, it was more or less just so. And it was not more really able to increase the altitude. I can go high, but and then I have this dive bonus for a short time. But in this high altitude, the Oscars have no advantage over this kind of British fighters more. And the British fighters have more firepower and armor, and it will be at the end a disadvantage for the Oscars. So I change now the tactic, and I say more or less, okay, I more or less give up this dive bonus. I don't come more high, I can come more or less at low as possible, so that my Oscars have the maximum maneuver bonus. So, of course, in low altitude the Hurricane also can maneuver better than a high altitude, but the difference is not so big. So the Hurricane is more or less just so maneuver in low altitude and bad in high altitude. But for the Oscar it is more or less very have very high maneuver skills in low altitude, but bad in high altitude. So at high altitude both fighters are bad. But at low altitude the Hurricane is just so, but the Oscar is perfect. This airframe is designed for altitude maximum 15,000, best 10,000 feet. So that is the tactic I use now. I say, okay, because I attack him, I can choose more or less the altitude. If you try to if you are the interceptor and the enemy is coming for you, then of course you must intercept the enemy, and if there's enemy bombers coming, then you must fly to the enemy bomber altitude. But in this case, I mean, this is a big change here now, and the idea is more or less like this: try to come behind, because in a real dogfight 1-to-1 front attack, I don't think that the Oscar is really good enough for this. In front attack, the Hurricane simply have more guns, more hit points and armor. This will really not work. You can see if they're coming each other, then the Hurricane is simply in a better position. So the tactic must be more or less try to avoid front attack, try to come behind, and then make a clean kill from behind. If this is really working, is of course always related to how good is your own pilot and how good is the enemy pilot, and also other factors like how is the morale, how is maybe the leadership and other stuff, and I don't know what else will, but normally I already try everything to boost this. They all belongs to the air HQ. The air HQ is in the same hex like the base, and all the stuff I already add here. And the pilots are all normally at the skill level over 60. Yes, of course, you can still say, you must have at least 70 skill level, and you must have at least a defense skill level of 65 or like this. But if I want to reach this kind of level, then I must maybe keep them training for 1 month more. And it was a test for me. Because you must always keep in mind that, yes, you can bring your own pilots better. You can train them longer, and you can wait, and you can wait, and you can wait. But not only your own pilots gets better, also Dojo or the allied player can do the same. He also will get better. And at the end, maybe the difference between both of the pilots is still the same. Or even gets more worse, because you can easily train to 60, but from 60 to 70 is very slowly. So if the British or the allied player start with a pilot of skill level 40 and my pilot at a 50, then I have a skill advantage. But if I want to wait up to 70, then maybe my pilot arrive at a 70 and the allied or Dojo's pilot will maybe at the same time I reach 70, he's at 66. So then the gap is very small already. But yeah, in the long run, it is important to train pilots at the air skill and the defense skill at least to a 66 like this. If you have enough pilots and you're only talking about creating more backup pilots, then I would try to get this backup pilots very high. And if you have enough backup pilots, then you maybe can exchange some air wings with not so high level, and then you always try to keep your air wings with this kind of 66 plus skill level up. But you can always wish a lot, and what is the reality and what happens. Sometimes you have a bad day, you lose a lot of pilots, and then you must replace them and all this stuff. I think our Oscars are fighting okay with the Hurricanes. Like, it's an even battle. And then there's of course, in this kind of question, it's a number game. So if we can kill the airframes 1-1 is one question, it's okay. But how we lose the pilots, because normally I still think that at least 50% of the pilots can jump out of the airframe and they will not get killed. Even if you destroy the airframe, 50% of the pilots will survive. But our pilots are all lost because we are enemy territory. So we maybe can keep the airframe battle 1-1, but I think in pilots we will always lose double at least. So officially we also lost now here 1-1. And you can see I really come more or less at the lowest level, 3000, and maybe you don't must go so deep. Maybe if you come with 8000 or 10,000 it's also okay. Okay, now the zeros. I think the zeros coming from top, because we are still diving and we are from behind the enemy, but only for a short moment. Oh, but we damage and force the enemy to return to base. This is always the best. Coming from behind is often, not often, but mostly so far the the first step to get a kill, a clean kill. Oh. And damage. One more hurricane. Okay. But immediately forced back. So the zeros did their job, but they kill one unit and then it's okay. The problem is that the airport is simply not big enough to have this kind of heavy fighter attack and bombers. For this you need some bigger airport. Of course there is a possibility to run fighters first, or run the bombers from Bangkok. But I still really don't see the necessary for this to attack with bombers. It will not have this big impact. And here again, Dojo try to use the B-26, but I see fail. And don't forget, the bomb load you always see here is for one bomber. So each of this bomber carries 6 bombs. So there are 7 bombers, each with 6 bombs, and they all failed. So we had here now 42 500 kilogram bombs dropping on these 2 cargo ships, and no hit at all. But at least Dojo try. And maybe one day, he will have a success. So, air war is over. Yeah. I use now some, I think, smaller units to start with picking up these small islands to start to clean up here. These units have a very low attack value, like 5 or 10 or 15, so they cannot fight with any enemy, but they can pick up these undefended forces and bases. Okay. And then more or less, because we had now 2 of this heavy cruiser bombardment, and I gambled more or less that now Dojo is so low that he maybe don't have a morale more. And yeah, it was successful. So the Dutch forces laid down their weapons, and it was a long struggle, but at the end we take the base with we have disabled units, but we also make it once attack, no kill, no nothing destroyed, only disabled, so give them a little rest and everything is back. And Dojo lost 2,500 Dutch forces. This is the empty base. One more base for the Japanese Empire. Bataan is here. The original setup of the game is more or less, and the Japanese also, the Japanese took this island purely only because then they can run their short-range fighters and bombers from this island to support the attack on the Philippines. But in this game it really makes no sense you better skip all of these islets and go directly here to the bases with the railway link. And because you have the range from Taiwan, and if you take this bases, you can bring your air force immediately here, and you don't must stay on this kind of islands. It's I see no necessary for really go with this. One of the last bases here in Borneo, so only the British have here something left in the north. Take it, fine. And 07, there was only a very small base force, so easy going. And the Dutch forces even give up immediately. So we lost nothing, but I mean there was only, you can see, a very small base force only. And this will, I think, still continue the next several turns. Dojo always try to bombard us, but in this case he lost one, whatever, maybe a truck, maybe a jeep, something very small, and you have still 4 vehicles, we have only 2 vehicles, but we have a little more guns and more units, but the attack value is still not in our favor, so I wait. I let the reinforcements come. So, okay. So, some bases are switching back and forward, always changing from Japanese, American control, because we have both forces, and yeah, it's normally not important. It's switching, but no real impact here. Okay, Dojo, try again. And yeah, you maybe saw that last turn I had my carrier in Buna, but I saw so many submarines that I was thinking, okay, change the location, so I go to Leh. But Dojo don't know I will go to Leh, so he sent all his submarines here now to Buna, but I have here my destroyers. So in this case I lure more or less Dojo submarine in this shallow water. My destroyers are waiting here for this, and now you can see we make a heavy damage. So normally this submarine is lost, because the submarine must travel all this way back. It cannot go to Port Moresby. I mean, if it's try to go to Port Moresby, it's also lost because the port is damaged and cannot help. So if we are lucky, we just kill an American submarine. But so far we don't get any sinking sound, so far I would say it's only heavy damage. More bombardment, this time the battleships. But not really a big impact. But there. Here a cut, there a cut, every day other cut. Sooner or later the Americans bleed. Or, I mean, okay, they're not Americans, they're Australians. So this is maybe the second battleship fleet. I don't know more if I have here maybe 2 battleship formations running up and down. You also can see there's not really a return fire more, because I think that mostly, or the units of Dojo, they are running out of. They don't have additional supplies, so they only can make this. Here, no enemy counter battery fire. Again, the problem is only the non-combat are normally not so important for me. I normally want only kill enemy guns because guns you need for bombardment, and normally these fighting squads because they are really the guys fight if you attack. I mean the non-combat will still support, but with very little effect. Yeah, this looks like a small destroyer, but still destroyers are hard to hit with a submarine. Sometimes it's possible, but not often. But at least we get no damage from this destroyer. We are still in deep water here. There's also other task force. So normally Dojo or allied players, I think they're using normally Purse to send the cargo ships up here to support Darwin, because normally Darwin, if you depending on maybe on how many forces you bring to Darwin to hold Darwin, this small roads are maybe not enough to supply this, so you must normally bring the supplies via convoy ships. I mean the other option is maybe to fly them from here, from this airbase. You can also fly supplies, but it still burns. I mean, it's never really high efficiency to use airplanes to supply a unit, especially if you have here enough. I mean, if you have here maybe 3, 4, or 500 attack value, you must really use many transport ships to keep this running. And transport airplanes. But if you use some cargo ships, some cheap cargo ships, it's I think better. This looks like a standard cargo ship, and luckily we get at least one torpedo hit here. Heavy damage already under fire, so will maybe not survive the day. And now we have a second attack. And the second torpedo hit. And the third torpedo hit. So one cargo ship, 3 torpedo hits is normally impossible to survive. Especially these Japanese torpedoes are much stronger. So yeah, the cargo ships go down. Our submarines are not so successful this last weeks, but yeah, the good time is over. I try now more to use them to block and yeah, New Caledonian area, and also I send a lot of submarines now soon in the direction of Perth and try to intercept more cargo shipping in Perth area, and most maybe also sooner or later in the area of New Zealand. We will see. The Japanese don't have really so many submarines. Yeah. Second day, second sweep, or the first sweep of the second day of Rangoon. This time our zero scope first. Last time we had the Oscars first, now zero scope. One attack, one hit, but no kill. now he has to return. And the next hurricane out of action. So, oof. We damaged and three enemy hurricanes already returned to base, but now we also lost one of our zeros. And with the zeros, we lost for sure also the pilot. But looks like there was someone angry. And they really... Yeah, he get his... he revenge our other lost pilot, so now the kill is 1-1 and the damaged airplanes are in favor of the Japanese, so far it looks okay. But of course I would always hope that if we come from behind that we don't have so often the damage and return to base. I would normally hope for more behind like now, or then get a clean kill. Even if we don't kill the pilot, but I really don't have a feeling how many airplanes per month Dojo can get from this Hurricane 2B. I believe this is a standard British fighter in this area. I think first in June. I think in June or something like this, a Spitfire will arrive, and also the next, I think the Hurricane 4 with the 20mm guns. But I'm not sure if really the 20mm guns will have a big advantage for Dojo. Because our fighters don't have armor and they really don't have many hit points. So if you have now 12 light machine guns or later 4 heavy cannons, hard to say if there's really a benefit for the British in this. But it will for sure help later if the Japanese get fighters with armor. But this is, I think, maybe in end of 42, early 43, the Japanese first switching from light and nimble to more, a little more tough, at least a little armor. Wait, so now we lost a little more. Okay. I think we are now at a kill ratio roughly 3 to 3. So I don't really expect much better results against this. Okay, maybe 3 to 3, or we maybe kill one more. Obviously we have a 2-2, yeah, 2-2. But let's check at the end of the turn. What the intelligence report will let us know. First the Oscars try it again. But there are really not many British fighters left. The Flying Tigers really have not really a big impact in this game so far. Uh-oh. Again, at least we get one kill here. So 1 to 1. Officially also 1 to 1. Second day, second carrier strike. And I think this will be more or less also the last strike. After this, the carriers are maybe out of sorties. But you can see the impact is normally too small to really justify this kind of effort. And here I think I forgot to change the altitude, because I think last time already I come with low level 3000 and it was not working. And we still come with this low level attack, but so this is why they can kill us with flak. And I have to change this back. Here we come in classic with 8000. Okay. This is now attack number 3 or number 4, I'm not sure. But at least again no hit. But it's a question of time. First, the pilot's getting better every day, and it's simply a question of numbers. If you have 6 bombs with 6 bombers, so it's 36 bombs, and sooner or later only one bomb will hit, and maybe one bomb is not enough to sink a troop transport, but it will at least force a transport ship to keep in port and repair, maybe for 2 weeks like this. So we detect Catalinas here and other scout planes. So there's still bases from Dojo. He look around and he can see my task force is coming. This was just American scout plane tried to attack our submarine but failed. Okay, today the weather was okay in Rabaul, so our Navy bombers can take off and at least try, but here are now heavy clouds and this Navy bombers get also now more and more experience with ground attack. But I'm not really sure if it's really so important for this Navy bombers. I would still go Navy torpedo attack, Navy bomb attack, and maybe could or search and maybe 10 Dutch bombers trying their luck. Okay, this was I think one of really long time ago. He had make a 300 kilogram semi-armor piercing. You can see there each bomber carries 3 bombs. Each bomb is 300 kilo, and they're all semi-armor piercing. And they make not critical or something, but on fire. Okay. I think this was just the task force we sent our forces here, the 2nd Corps, and now we are on the back to Singapore. So, oof. Okay, means the light cruiser must go to shipyard for 1 week or maybe 2 weeks, something like this. And these are the Dutch scout bombers. But nothing. And these are the 50 kilogram bombs. Okay. This must be then attack number 4 of the Marauders, maybe the last of this day. And okay. The first time the Marauders make a hit on the AMC. But luckily only 1 bomb hit. And AMCs are normally, I mean at the end they are only cargo ships, so they are not really any military stuff, but they are a little more tough. And a 500-pound bomb is like a 250 kilogram bomb, so 1 is maybe not enough to really get a lot of trouble to this cargo ship, but you can see we lost a little equipment. And we are on the way to Java, so we have to unload and we have to repair, that for sure. Okay. This is now a CH, so this is a sub chaser, but a normal one. So he normally operates. Focus is normally for deep water, but of course he can also attack in shallow water. And submarine takes some water, so now we have 19 hits and heavy damage again. I'm not more sure if it's the same submarine from just before. But this submarine also looks very I mean, it's heavy damage. And at least it must return, that for sure. And maybe it will not arrive at port. Maybe it will go back, limp back, and get every day a little more flood damage. And if you're lucky, it will sink one day. If not today, maybe another day. And if it have major damage, then at least it must go normally back to Brisbane. I think in Brisbane is first the next shipyard the submarine can get fixed. And every submarine less here on the surface will make it for me more easy to carry stuff around. So Dojo's attempt of bombardment, but nothing happened. Looks like the day is over. Bing. So it is now February 27. So this will be the next turn coming is the last of February. Then we will enter March. So intelligence reports say kill ratio 8 to 8. We lost 1 by flak, yeah, because we're coming a little deep. And the operational losses are also 7-7. So we really... Dojo lost 13 Hurricane 2B. And yeah, okay. So 13 first class fighters and I lost 14 first class fighters. 4 to 4 and so you can also see these are my 8. Dojo have 9, so it's nearly 1-to-1 kill ratio. But the Oscars had many operational losses. But we also can see that at least one of Dojo's B-70s had maybe a crash landing or whatever it is written off for. So not really high. So 15 to 16 total losses today. Nothing really crazy. And out of our 16 lost pilots, we lost now 7 pilots. So 7 dead pilots from 16 lost airframes. I mean, the killed by flak is of course always dead, and then we have 5 fighters gets destroyed in Rangoon, so they are also lost. And one guy come back and make a crash landing and gets hurt. Naja, nothing too crazy. Okay. And ship sunk this turn. I think I only know the cargo ship. Yeah. So 11-point cargo ship is a good cargo ship. I mean, standard speed, 5,500 cargo. Oh, it's okay. Nothing crazy good, nothing bad or cheap. And this is not the one for the last submarine. This must be from the first day. So, but I never hear any sinking sound, so I don't really think that this submarine is dead so far. But officially the game say we believe it is dead. We don't know, but we believe. Okie dokie. Anything else? I don't know if this turn was not so active. I think my units are moving slowly. Yeah, you can see that I move northwest to Xi'an. So I bring I think most of my army here to Xi'an. I keep a little block force here. Maybe and I try more or less to group up in Xi'an, and then I try to rush for these 3 bases before Dojo can bring this eastern army together and maybe create a new western army, and then normally come maybe from both directions and all focus on Xi'an. So I must be a little quick to take this and come back in time. Yeah, and here's we maybe can catch here 1 unit, or there are 10 units, but we have here the 23rd Army, so if we have enough time, we can maybe destroy or at least damage this unit and force them to return, and then they are broken completely. Here are 2 units, but only 6,000, and I have a support division. This is normally enough to fix this. But in Wenshaw, I think I have only 1 division, and this is maybe not enough I will maybe try to make one bombardment and check how strong, because I see here 24,000 guys, so maybe like at least 10,000 active soldiers, and this kind of division you have only 8,000 active soldiers. I don't know if this is enough to take the base. Maybe I must wait a little. Or yeah, we're climbing up the mountains, but you can see that one turn we make 22 miles. We must walk 138 miles to arrive at this base. After we arrive at the base, we have this highway. Then it's much faster, but we must first arrive. Here maybe the air wings. So my zeros come also with 8,000, so we come low, because the zero have for 10,000 up to 10,000, and you can see up to 15,000 we have the maximum altitude maneuver modificator or modification. So it's at up to 15,000 feet. This airframe will operate with the best efficiency. And the Oscar, I think, is even better. You can see it's have a maneuver level up 46, so it is more nimble. It is more easy to come behind the enemy and then attack. But it's always a combination: speed, maneuver, firepower, armor, hit points. It all comes together. And we can see we come from 42, now we are down to 34, so we losing airframes. The question is if I can produce enough. You can see that my pool is down to 4 with the Oscars. Zeros I still have 44, but yeah, we will see. And the carriers are here now, I think, all back. This is one, the battleship group. Is on the way, but also will arrive maybe next turn. And so this means now everything is back. I only have here some submarines trying to find something, waiting, lure in the water, but sometimes we find something, but not often. And the carrier fleet is next turn back. So, but you can see there some engines are a little or system damaged, a little burnt, and I must replace the airframes, and this needs a little time. Good. 07 is ours. I took it last time, so I have here one regiment, one Navy Guard unit. So this is of course not enough to attack Palmbang, but I have to now to bring in the whole. It's already loaded. But just loaded. What? Where's my? Strange. Where is my army? Yeah, this is a light cruiser, only because we just saw it that we had the 300 kilogram semi-armor piercing bomb, and this maker, you can see the system damage is always easy up. We also have some flotation damage, but only half is major. And also the engine is a little, but not too much. But we have to go to port. I only don't know more where's my army units. They're not more here. So here. Yeah, they're already at Batavia. I forgot. So here's now the 15th Army and everything what belongs to the 15th Army. So we have the 33rd Division is here in 3 pieces. We have some artillery, and we also have some. This is the 33rd Division. So I don't know if it's much more. A, B. Well, maybe. I think it was one division and some other stuff. So not too much firepower, but normally enough to get a cleaner palm by. Here we take the base, but I mean there was an enemy, so we take the base and fine. I think we also had a bomb hit here somewhere, maybe here. Yeah. So the AMC, they took the 500 pound, 150 kilogram bomb, and you can see, yeah, it's damaged the ship and it also slows down the ship, but that is still acceptable. If there's a second bomb hit, then it maybe gets critical. But so far we can say, okay, let's go continue, enter the port. And if we once in the port, we are normally safe because the Zeros will normally make sure that no enemy bombers can attack more. Yeah. So Ambon we took. Japanese forces were successful at the end, but they are down from 62 to 42 attack value, so I let them rest a little and then I will maybe transport all the stuff and then go to Manado. And this I think is one of the last bases and also scout maybe. I don't see, I don't have recon information. Maybe he has still some scout planes, so this base we have to take. Here is sometimes a little stuff, and here also can be still equipment. But I normally want to take first these bases here, and then slowly take the left side and the east side. Here is also, but this is all no value here. So you take the bases and that's so. I will now jump to the next base and then to the next base and so on. Here you can see that the carriers I think now are very low on 30, so maybe one more attack, but then it's over. I'm not sure if I will stay here one more day. Maybe I will return already, maybe we will see, but we still see here many task forces, so there are at least 2 task forces and every task force have 2 submarines. So here in this hex are at least 4 submarines. Here are 3 additional submarines. So 7 submarines are already here. And I think here is always some submarines and maybe here are submarines and the typical spots. And we running up and down here with battleships, burning through the ammunition, make one attack, then have to return and attack. Simply to keep Dojo's forces on high fatigue and waiting that our forces can come. So this is the task force for Tulagi and here is the task force for Shortlands coming. So next turn maybe not, but maybe next turn we take Shortly and Tulagi and then after that create here the new invasion fleet, so that around 10th of March we will maybe have the second additional invasion force arrive in Port Moresby, and I think latest 15th March I can maybe try to take the base. Oh. Anything else here? I don't think so. No big. More cargo ships arrive to Manila, so that in the long run I also will now try to bring in the next 10 days normally the 16th army to Java, so that I have both armies in Java, so I can maybe take Java end of March. So end of March I normally need first Surabaya. It's for me more important because of the shipyard, but at the end I also need to take Batavia. So So maybe end of March, take Java, take Sumatra, and also take Rangoon, the source edge of Burma. And maybe in the next month we also can see the battle of the 3-4 bases here. And this also, maybe, this is a small base. This is, I think, the unit I kicked already, so I don't think that Dojo can stop me here. But this force is only a 450, it's not really too much. No. Jolo we took, so I have still here some other bases I must pick up one by one. And here are 17,000 guys, so this is normally too much to attack. 11 units, 17,000, and I have only 2 small Navy Guard units, so I need something bigger. Let's see this. Keep in mind, because these are not this normal Navy Guard units, because they are not blue, there's this red stuff, you can upgrade them or you can bring additional stuff to them. So you can see that they have still some base force equipment waiting. And in 11 days this equipment will arrive. In this special basement, equipment will give you Navy support. And like I said last time, this Navy support only works in true ports, and this makes normally this unit better if you add them together, because then they are stronger. Then you have something to fight, I mean for defense, and you have Navy support stuff to unload and load ships better. So I would normally bring this kind of units to a base where you can expect counters, I mean that the enemy tried to take the base back, but you also must unload and load stuff. So I would maybe say like maybe Port Blair, maybe Rangoon if you're here in the Indian Ocean, but more likely maybe Tulagi, Shortlands, Luganville, this kind of bases. They are normally not to attack the base, but to defend a base and simply make the logistic more easy, more efficiency. Good. I don't know if there's something else. I missed something? I don't think so. So maybe, I don't know more if next turn is always a long episode. I don't remember more. So next turn or next turn is the first of a new month, so March, and then I will have this long episode and I will discuss a little more about A&D, industry, supplies, and all this not related to real combat, but everything what works more in the background. Good. See you all, take care, bye bye. If you have any questions, of course, always ask in the comments. And share and like the video, and have never have a problem to ask Dojo. Always ask Dojo if you have questions and if you don't understand something, or if you are not sure if I'm correct. Always ask this. I think Dojo will always try to help if he has the time. See you, bye bye.